Hello, welcome to Heaven's Metal Magazine. I am Coran Lategra. It is almost the weekend, and the weekend is almost here. It's Thursday. I forgot the date is. I think it's the 16th, October 16th. We're in October already, so football season is upon us and is live. And I hope your team is winning. If not, I'm sorry. You're having a bad year this year. But if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Be much appreciated. And also, I will put in the heavensmetal.com in the link description area, so you can check out the all the news and upcoming events coming up for the magazine reviews. And basically it's a Christian heavy metal magazine with a bunch of Christian metal bands and so forth. And yeah, there is such a thing as Christian metal, in case you didn't know. So I'll put that link in the description, and you guys can check it out. Subscribe to the channel. Be much appreciated. So my guest today, I reached out to this gentleman a couple of days ago, and he's got a ministry called Chains Unchained. I kind of had it backwards. I had Unchained Chains, but he's got a ministry called Chains Unchains. And I say, I wanted to invite him on to Heaven's Metal magazine, and he could share his testimony and how he started his ministry, and looking forward to hearing what's going on with that. And so I just want to welcome Wayne Nale to
Yeah, you got
Battle
it. Yeah.
Magazine. I got it right because
You got it right.
it's a different spelling than
It is.
Nale.
It is. It is. It'll trip you up.
So welcome, man. How you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing well. Doing well. Just got home from work and
Okay.
uh, looking forward to the interview. So
Yeah. I like the shirt there.
thank you. Yeah, it's.
Cool.
I think this was what year? I don't know. I think this was year one. Actually, it's our first year. It was 9 years ago.
Okay. Now is that the design? Is that thorns
No, it's
outside or
chains. It's
okay? It's
chains,
chain.
a
Okay.
circle of chains, and then on the end, the links are exploding kind of on the left and right. So
Okay.
it's just symbolic of breaking those chains that we kind of
Gotcha.
find ourselves in.
Yeah. So we're going to talk a little bit about your ministry and how that started. But first, I want you to just kind of share, what life was like before you became a
Mm.
believer in Christ, and and so forth. And so just share a little bit about your testimony and all that good
Uh,
stuff.
Well, I mean, we talked earlier. I grew up in mostly in the San Francisco Bay Area. I graduated high school in '83, so I was very involved in the underground music there. Uh, the early days of thrash metal, and worked with a lot of bands that are from the Bay Area, and a lot of bands that came through the area. So uh, that was I worked with bands, Metallica when they were a club band. Just all the bands. I mean, it was just a great time to kind of be in that music scene there in San Francisco, and you could see Metallica, Anthrax, and Death Angel on a Wednesday night for like $5.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so it was just the heyday of that early music genre, um, and living there in that business also had I got it really deeply involved in addiction and methamphetamine mainly. It was kind of that drive to keep going, when you're out on the road, and you just never sleep. So got heavily involved in that, and wound up working for I won't say names, but for a very large female methamphetamine dealer in the Bay Area. Um, and it was a really rough time. Back in the day when I was in it, it was nothing. While I was in it, it seemed normal. Collecting money and just things that are, you regret now later in life, but it was a reality back then.
Mhm.
Um, about, oh gosh, I mean, it's about 1988. I really started thinking about getting out of the drug, out of the, out of my addictions. I tell everybody I quit drugs 100 times and I started them 101. Um, and so, and finally, I got serious about it in 1999 or 1989. I'm sorry. Got in an argument with my sister, and we were kind of from had a lot of the same friends, grew up, same crowd and all that, and had a big argument, big blowout, and uh, it wound up being kind of a turning point. And so in 1989, I sold everything I had, and I moved to Florida, and moved in with my grandparents, who told me they would take me in. Uh, it just, I mean, all kinds of little stories around that. My uncle, they were in St. Augustine, Florida. My uncle was second in charge of the St. John's Sheriff's Department there. So at this time, I had hair down, down almost down to my belt.
Mhm.
He called me up and he said, if you're going to come here looking for help from family, you better come looking like a man. So
Oh,
I braided up my pony. Yeah, he was a stickler for if you were long hair, you were bad news already. So I braided up my ponytail and I cut it off and I gave it to him. And actually, he kept my ponytail. When I brought my wife down to meet my family there, he actually still had it.
woo.
Uh, yeah, that was like 4 or 5 years afterwards, and but I went down there and I don't know if your listeners know or not, but they got drugs in Florida, so
Mhm.
it didn't take long for me to start finding drugs again. Get back into that life a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, it was just for I started doing drugs when I was 10,
Mm.
and so at this time I was 26, I think. Uh, yeah, 20, 26, right on mid 20s. And so I'd been doing them for about 16 years, even though I was sort of younger at the time.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and it just, things got spiraled out. I moved out of my grandparents' house and got involved with, wrong people again. And they invited me one day to go to church with them.
Mhm.
And for me, church was just a drug. I did methamphetamine got me through the day, and Jesus gets you through the day. So really, there was no difference in my mind. And but they had told me they would take me out for lunch afterwards. Well, I said, all right, I'll do free lunch. So I went and sat in the back of this little country church in St. Augustine, Florida.
Yeah.
Um, and I was just, I mean, I wreaked havoc on the church. I tore all the pages out of their hymnal.
Wow.
Uh, yeah, I took my knife, carved my name into their seat, into the pew, in the back pew. Um, then when they bowed their heads to pray, I just walked out the back and waited for my grandparents to come out.
Wow.
And we went to lunch, and they never said nothing. And that week, I just started feeling really guilty, not about what I did to the church because I could have cared less at that point.
Yeah.
Uh, but my grandparents took me in when no one else would.
Yeah.
I was a evil, hateful person back in the day, and uh, I found out later uh, that even though they had opened their house to me, that when they went to bed at night, they had kitchen knives under their pillows, and that's how they didn't know who was going to come home, whether it was going to be nice Wayne or mean Wayne.
Yeah.
And even in all of that, they opened their doors to me and brought me in and gave me a place, uh, a sanctuary, I guess you'd say, a place to get away from everything.
Wow.
And eventually, and so I got to feeling bad about, I disrespected my grandparents, and that's the last thing I wanted to do. So I called them up and I said, hey, you don't have to take me to lunch. I'll go back to church with you. I'll sit there and I'll listen. I'll be polite. I'll sit right with you guys. And at the end of that, we won't talk about church no more. That'll be the last thing. That will fulfill my obligation to you.
Mhm.
And so that's what I did. And man, you open a door for God, and he kind of walked in and put his foot right on my throat.
Wow.
I was by the end of this thing, um, I was almost in tears, and they bowed their head, they started praying, and he'd ask anybody that wanted to talk about Jesus, to come up front. And I didn't know about all that, but I just knew I didn't need dope anymore. I didn't need, any of the things that I was involved in. I just didn't need it anymore. And so I walked up to the front, and I had almost a gram and a half of meth on me, and I had my cigarettes and a small bag of weed, and I just laid it down at the front, and I turned back around and I walked out the back door and went wait for my grandparents to come out again. And the pastor came out and talked to me, and one of the first things he said is, "Hey, if this ever happens again," he said, "if you're ever going to give up drugs again, don't just set it down at the front." He's like, you don't know who else would have saw that, and they're dealing with the same thing. They'd have just walked up and picked it up and walked off.
Yeah.
And I said, "No," I said, I don't think I'm gonna have that struggle anymore." And God took a 16-year addiction and just pulled that desire out.
Wow.
And yeah, I know so many. I've worked with addiction, with people in addiction and in recovery, almost since then. And I'm one of the blessed that I didn't have, I didn't have withdrawals. I could say I never had a desire to go back. Every now and then you miss it, but I never had a desire to go back and do it.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the beginning. That was in 1990.
Okay.
Was the last time I
Wow.
did any kind of illegal drugs was back then. So coming out of the music business and then going into that,
Yeah.
it was a whole different kind of life.
So when you at the church, did your grandparents, did they see, were they there when you went down to the altar and
Yeah, yeah, they were there. In fact, I was sitting right there with them.
okay.
Um, my grandfather was sitting right next to me, and then my grandma was my granny. I
Yeah.
feel weird calling her grandma. Yeah, she was granny.
Yeah.
Yeah, grandpa was sitting beside me, and granny was sitting beside him, and I was just sitting on the end of at the pew, and I just got up, and I know, I'm pretty sure they had to have been watching.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
They were probably thinking, "Oh no, what's he gonna do?"
Right, what's he going to do now? He's reaching into his pockets. Oh my gosh, what's going on? Yeah, so I took it out and I just laid it. They had that little offering table up there at the front, and I just set it down and turned around and walked out.
Wow.
And I just didn't know. I didn't know any better. I didn't know what to do. I'd never. Um, my my immediate family was growing up. They were all Mormon, and
Okay.
but they didn't go to church or anything. It was, if you asked them, that's what they'd say. But, I can't remember really going to church much with them.
Yeah.
Um,
So now, did you get once that conversion happened? Did you get
yep.
uh, discipled at all from any the pastors from the church, or did somebody come along and say, "Hey, you was there a new believers uh,
Well,
ministry there?"
Well, it was, yeah, the pastor was kind of a new believer's, he
Okay.
was the whole thing. I mean, literally, this was so country. The name of the church was Bible Baptist Church on Old Moultrie Road. That was the whole name. Old Moultrie Road was in the name of the church. And there was probably, I don't know, 50 people going to the church, and I was probably related to half of them. And the pastor, his name was Talmud Jeffridge,
Okay.
and he was country. His idea of dressing down to work on the bus, he'd take his tie off and roll his sleeves up and set his jacket off to the side. He'd work on the bus, wash his hands, and dress right back up again. Um,
Talk
and
about
so there was a whole lot of legalism, I guess, but
yeah.
and he'd give me a hard time because it was the old Baptist. Guys didn't wear shorts and women didn't wear pants, and
Oh, okay. Yeah.
but yet here's this California. I say a hippie, but I ain't got no hair. I didn't have any hair at the time, but I wore the gray and pink uh, swimming trunks, pretty much board shorts and tank tops back then, and he would get on me about how I dressed, and we would just. I mean, but he was very good natured about it,
Yeah. Yeah.
and the church bought a camper, a big camper, and put it in beside the church, hooked it all up, and he gave me that to live in because where I was living was not a good influence. And so the church really stepped up, and they showed me love in a tangible way. Not just somebody to talk to, but they literally gave me a place to live.
Yeah.
Um, and then I became best friends with Pastor Etheridge and his wife,
Okay.
and me and her would go out fishing. They're 40 years older than me, and me and her out fishing during the day, and then I worked in the evening.
Okay.
Um, and I became after a couple. It was funny. After about a month and a half, I actually started leading the youth. I
Mm.
started teaching the teens, and uh, it was an incredible period of growth.
Wow.
Uh, he totally. I mean, I was at their house more than I was at my house.
Yeah. Yeah.
They live right up the street from the church, so I would just walk up and just spend hours with them.
Yeah.
And it was a really, really, really good uh, experience.
Yeah.
I never would have thought it before. If Christians were just judgmental people that had their own hangups. That was my view.
Yeah. So now leaving from that music scene, the people in that, the bands that you were working with, were they surprised that, what
Yeah,
happened, man? I thought, you told them you
yeah.
didn't do that
After
anymore, and
there's a there's a group of guys that one of the bands that I worked with, a band called Kilroy, and we I was with them. They were the band I worked for, and then I would pick up side jobs working for other bands during the week, loading in, running stage, running sound, doing lights, whatever needed to be done to make some money. But they were the guys that I really I was a stage manager for them, and took care of a lot of the touring business with them. So
okay,
um, when I called them uh, to talk to them, it was really different. Um, they wished me all the best. But yeah, and I guess I'd have been the same way. They just didn't, you know, they didn't see that this was going to be something long term.
yeah,
This was just, oh well, man, dude, you got away from all your friends, you got away from all the influences you had, and you went there and you had nobody, so this is what you latched on to.
mhm,
And I was like, yeah, I don't think it's quite that. I
yeah,
think this is something different.
yeah,
And
wow,
yeah, so it was weird because I left. Uh, I mean, this hard music, hard guys, hard life type thing,
yeah,
uh, and I couldn't keep my head in that space and move forward with what I was doing. So I totally went the opposite way with music.
well, yeah,
Uh, if it was anything more than 4-part gospel with maybe a piano, I couldn't listen to it.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
know, it just, um, I guess the draw for the music was worse than the draw from the drugs for me.
yeah,
And so I had to kind of squash all of the music. I totally went the opposite way in the music that I was listening to.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Because I mean, you didn't know it at the time, but yeah, it was a spiritual battle.
Yes, and that's and I years later I realized all of this,
Yeah, yeah,
um, and God worked pretty quick. Uh, once I said yes, uh, it was a year. I think within a year, I had moved here to where I live now in Springfield, Missouri,
okay,
to go to Baptist Bible College.
okay,
And yeah, and so I was teaching the teens one week at church, and at this time I never taught adults, right? I'd speak to the teens, and that was kind of easy. If I didn't know exactly what I was talking about, I could fake my way through it with them. Uh, but this Wednesday night, man, I look out and I don't know, there's probably 15 parents
wow,
sitting there. And I'm like, oh crud. I back then I just wing it. I open up the Bible, I look at my passage, and I just start talking.
yeah,
And I tried to do that this time. And I opened up the Bible and I read the verse I was going to read, and then nothing. I had nothing. My head was blank, man. It was like I, I was staring at the inside of a whitewashed wall on the inside of my head, and I couldn't think of anything. And
wow,
I looked at my pastor, and he was sitting there, and he's kind of laughing. And I'm like, it ain't funny, man. I don't know what to say. And he's like, he goes, you got two choices. You can either fake it and they'll all know. He
Yeah.
said, or you can sit down. And he said, well, even pride is going to tell you what you're going to do.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dang. And so I sat down and he got up and he gave a short message on the verse that I read.
Mm.
And that's when he said, if you're going to do this, you need to get right. He said,
Yeah.
you need to learn what you're doing. He said, you can't fake your way through this.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's when, with some guidance and counseling, that's when I decided to go to Bible college.
Okay. Yeah. And then
So
from Bible college, you got involved with the same church, or
no, no, actually, so that was in St. Augustine, Florida. I came
okay.
up to Springfield, Missouri
Okay.
to go to Bible college. And
Okay.
yeah, I went to Baptist Bible College. It's now called Missions University now.
Okay.
Um, but I came up here to go to college, and I kind of got back in the same kind of a church, very legalistic type Baptist church, and but it kept me grounded. You
Mhm.
know, it legalism. I don't like legalism, but for me at the time, that's what I needed. I needed something that would confine me
Yeah.
to where I just wasn't. I had not learned to use grace yet in
Yeah.
my own life,
Yeah.
and so after about 6 months, I'm sitting in my dorm room and I hear this metal music playing, and I'm like, what in the world? I'm like, man, these people going back to the wicked ways, and I'm the old man. I'm 26 when I went back to college, and I'm on a freshman dorm, and I'm the oldest one on the floor. I'm the oldest one in the freshman building,
Yeah.
and I have my own room, and they gave the old guy his own room, so none of the kids would bother me. And so I'm going to go down and I'm going to give this room, my opinion on what their music is. And I walk in, and they were playing the band One Bad Pig, and it was
Oh,
punk music. And I'm like, man, what do you guys listen to? You understand where you're at, right? And they're like, chill out, calm down, slow,
calm down,
and they,
preacher boy.
yeah, exactly, man. It's like you come in here getting all up in our face about this, and it was funny because at that point I realized it clicked in my head that wait a minute, there is a there is a God honoring uh, type of music that I like. And it wasn't that I didn't like the other stuff I'd been
Yeah.
listening to. It was just this is that's who I was. That was my life,
Yeah.
and to find out that there was a way I could still listen to it and honor God in my in it
Yeah.
was uh, wow. It probably was one of the biggest eye openings that
Wow.
would lead into my future ministry.
Yeah. So when
Uh,
you
we're-
when you when you heard the music and you saw the guys that were playing it, what was their reaction? And what did you say to them? I mean, what was that like?
to the guys in the room, uh,
Yeah.
well, I mean,
Did you
because
ask what band it was and you started
yeah, I
hearing the
mean, after
lyrics and
after they said no, man, this is Christian punk, and I'm like, that doesn't go together. Christian and punk don't, or Christian and metal. Those words don't go together in my head, and they all knew my backstory.
yeah.
We have devotional time every night in the hallway, and we all talk about our past and our history, and so they all knew my story. And I'm like, why didn't you tell me about this before? And they're like, well, because you were pretty locked in your way there. We weren't going to be the ones that tried to explain this to you.
Yeah.
Uh, but you're here now. And
Yeah.
so, and from there, man, it's funny because there's some bands, well, uh, Deliverance. I
Mhm.
don't know if you're familiar with
Oh
Deliverance.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
they're the only Christian band I'd ever seen.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know they were Christian at the time. They were just thrash metal, and
Yeah.
I went and I saw them like on a Saturday night. And it's funny because I got to know the guys later, and I still have the flyer of when I seen them from back in the
Okay.
day.
Wow.
And so yeah, so I had them sign my flyer from, I think it was 1990, I think 1990,
Okay.
at the Omni in the Bay Area. So
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, but yeah, and they started opening my eyes to different music. And it's funny because through all of this, I had hung on to all my memories.
Hmm.
So oh my gosh, I had thousands of flyers, and I had early demo tapes from bands that before they ever had. I had one. I had an original cassette of. Well, I say original. It was off of the. It's a copy of the original Van Halen demo that was recorded in their garage,
Okay.
where you could hear the guys talking in between the
Yeah,
songs and
yeah.
laughing and
Okay.
punking each other. And
Yeah. Wow.
um, I had all this stuff. I had tour jackets and tour shirts from the different bands. I mean, just oh my gosh, boxes full of stuff that I had boxed up and in storage.
Mm.
And
Wow.
I don't know why I brought all that up, but it's it brought me it gave me that ability uh, to get that music back.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
uh,
So
yeah, so it just kind of blew my mind. I saw they were showing me pictures of these bands, and I'm like, why they got long hair and I can't have? Now I
I
can't.
was
So
gonna
now I'm a
say,
little jealous. Yeah, call my uncle, tell him to send my ponytail back. I need it.
I was gonna say, did you ever grow your hair back?
Yeah, no, yeah, that's genetics took a little bit of that. Kind of funny. We were at a concert about 8 or 9 years ago with my sons,
Yeah.
and I'm sitting at the back, and oh gosh, I think War of Ages was playing, and I'm at the back, and I'd been up front, and it was all sweaty, and I come back, and my sons are laughing, and they're like, "Dad, look at this picture of this guy," and they took a picture of the back of some dude's head, and it was like a bald spot in the back of his head, and they're laughing. I'm like, y'all are mean. That's mean, don't. And they're like, no, Dad, that's you. That's you up front. I'm like, oh, that's it. And I shaved everything else. I'm like, nope, I'm not gonna be that guy. I'm not gonna have the comb over.
No more
So
headbanging.
yeah, I'd rather be bald than bald in one spot. I'll shave it all off.
Yeah, just shave it all off. So
Yeah,
now, once you got, converted, you went to Bible college, you graduated from the Bible
yep,
college.
yes,
Okay.
sir.
And then from there,
Yeah,
you start getting involved with ministries. Now, did you,
yeah.
after listening to that Christian punk band, did the idea come, wait a minute, I think there could
Well,
be other bands out here like this. I want to try to promote Christian bands.
well,
Did that idea
it's
come?
it started out in college. Uh, they always challenge us to do something.
Mhm.
While you're here, do something. Don't just show up, sit in class.
Yeah.
And so me and a few of the guys got together and we're like, well, we're going to start a ministry team and we're going to go out. We're going to do youth rallies, and we were very blessed because of the connection to the college. We had a lot of opportunities to go to Illinois, Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and uh, and speak at big youth gatherings. And so I would get up and give my testimony and give a message. And we had another guy he was a music major, and he would do the music. My wife would sing, and I met my wife while I was at college, and she would sing. And we had guys that were into martial arts, so they would do like the old power team type stuff,
Yeah.
and we would go and we would travel on the weekends and do this, and it was just something we set up. uh, and kind of funny thing, I told you about the box of all the memorabilia I had. Well, there's a guy named Mike on my floor, and before I started dating my wife, him and my wife kind of went out a couple times, and but he also was interested in this other girl, and so I went and I told him, went to a thing, I went to a college thing, and that's where I kind of my wife caught my eye, and I'm like, huh. So I went into his room, and he was all into the Christian metal and all that. So I told him, I said, I would give you all these boxes of memorabilia from all these big, huge secular bands now. Because at that time now, I had Metallica tour shirts that were band only,
Yeah.
and you couldn't get them. And so I said, I'll give you all of this. Go find that other girl you like. And so I always tell my wife, I said, in the Old Testament they had a dowry. I said, "You cost
Yeah.
me all my memorabilia." I said, "Worth every penny of it."
Yeah,
Um,
you were bribing, man. You
yes, I was. By hook or by crook, she was going to be my girl. And our first date, we went out. We went to Olive Garden, and I told her, I said, I don't love you yet. I said, I like you.
Yeah.
I said, you're going to think I'm totally crazy, but you have no choice in this. God told me you're going to marry me, that I'm going to marry you. I said, you don't have no choice. And she's like, you're weird. And no. And
Get away.
so, yeah, but a year and a half later, I'm like, see, I told you. And God had it already decided out. You just didn't know it yet. And so, yeah, but that's where the basis for reaching out to younger people kind of came about. Um, and then it literally was my last year in college, where I went to switch churches. Me and my wife switched churches, and we started working with the youth group. And from there, I met a couple teens that were in uh, that had a Christian band going. And so that's where the idea really kicked that, hey, I got all this experience.
Yeah.
I can help these guys,
Yeah.
book shows, teach them how to tour, teach them, give them some solid instruction that they wouldn't get into church.
Yeah.
Uh, we had a very open church, and it was really cool, but nobody knew the music business.
Mhm.
And so the first band I ever worked with as Christian band was a band called Revolution.
Okay.
And yeah, I did booking and ran sound for them. I was their band dad basically,
Okay.
and a bunch of wild high school kids in our youth
Yeah.
department.
So
So
so from there, you just kind of just took it to another level,
yeah,
eating a bunch
yeah,
of Christian bands and booking bands. And that's the thing. It's like God can use what you did in the world
yes,
to glorify him now. And
exactly. It took me years to come to this that all of that was setting me up for something.
yeah, yeah,
And God knows, He knows the end from the beginning. And um, and there were a lot of things that came up through the transition
mm,
towards full time, towards the full ministry of what we do now. But God still had to remove a bunch of stuff from my life.
yeah,
But while He was doing that, uh, I was able to meet a lot of different Christian bands that would tour through this area. I think at one point I was managing 3 or 4 local bands that
wow,
they were regional bands,
yeah,
but based out of here in Springfield, and everywhere from a group called Boone, who's 2 girls and 2 acoustic guitars,
mm,
most amazing voices ever. Through them, they opened up for Pillar,
okay,
and that was it was early in their career because it was at a place called the New Brew Coffee House,
okay,
which was here in town, and they had shows every week.
hmm,
And so I was running sound for them, so I got to meet all these bands, kind of the same way I did in California.
yeah,
Bands that were up and coming, that
yeah,
were still doing the coffee houses and uh, you know, and now then they started to blow up. But from that, I got to meet a lot of regional bands, and that's where I kind of built my uh, my Rolodex of names, I guess.
yeah. Now, the lot of bands you manage, are they still currently together or?
No, not any of those. That would probably be about 98,
Okay,
99, all the way up to about 2002.
okay,
And then um, the music part of my ministry kind of faded off when those bands stopped. I was running sound for church. I still was involved in music, just
mhm,
uh, not promoting.
yeah,
Uh, and then, so I'm a procrastinator at heart, and so I was a youth pastor, I was a young adult pastor, and I always wanted to write um, a devotional aimed at people who don't go to church,
okay,
aimed at somebody who's never been into church before. Uh, come out of from a direction that nobody else was doing at the time. So I'm like, I could write from my past and bring the Bible into my past
Yeah.
and just do short stories.
Yeah.
And and then I could, because I was going to secular concerts at this time. A lot of the bands that I knew, I still knew a lot of Christian bands, and at this time, churches wouldn't let you play. You didn't play in churches, so you had to play at the bar.
Yeah.
And it was two or three Christian bands and two or three secular bands. Oh, and the Christian bands were on tour with the secular bands, and that's where the ministry was. It was in the nightclubs.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, we're gonna do this, and I'm gonna give these out at these secular clubs.
Yeah.
And but I'm lazy, and so I wrote about two or three, and I'm like, man, this isn't fast enough. So I called all these bands up, and I said, hey, would you contribute a day? Would you contribute a day? Would you do a 3 day like little mini kind of series, just 1 day devotionals, 2 pages, front and back page,
Mhm.
and it was overwhelming how many people responded to this. Uh, and so that's my ministry as it sits now. Started out with one devotional book, and all these guys contributed it. Me and a friend edited it and put it all together and had it bound. Uh, I mean, it was a legit book,
Wow.
and we would take it to secular concerts here in town, and we would give them away. And we had our phone numbers and everything in there so people could call us if they had questions.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, it got a lot of traction with it,
Yeah.
and that's kind of how it all started.
Wow.
And the good thing about that is from that I got all kinds of other Christian bands that wanted to be involved, because we would give it to the bands coming through and say, hey, put some of these on your table.
Hmm.
Give them out. It doesn't cost anything. We had people that were paying for the printing, and and so that kind of connected me to a lot of people.
Wow. That's awesome, man. I mean, so that's
Yeah,
when Chains and then how did Chains Unchained
it's changed. Yeah,
get founded?
so the book itself is called Chains Unchained,
Okay.
Friends and Sinners.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So and my sister actually won a contest for naming it. Um, yeah, so she's the one that named the ministry and the thing, and at the time she wasn't a believer. She is
Yeah.
now, but she wasn't a believer. Um, and so
Wow.
and it, yeah, we I don't. There's a festival in Indiana in Kokomo called Kingdom Come Fest, and we went there one year, 13 years ago, 12 years ago, something like that. And they invited us to come up and set up a table and give these books out. And it's a Christian festival, and they were the inspiration
Mhm.
for taking what they were doing there with the music festival and putting our own spin on it and bringing it back here to Springfield.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah,
Wow, man. That's awesome, man. I mean, it's amazing what God did through you, and now
yeah,
it's still going on strong. Because I read a little bit of your about, you know,
yeah.
Unchained. It's not just music.
No,
You do the homeless, you reach out to the
yeah,
homeless, you do other things in the community. Talk about that a
yep.
little bit.
Well, so um, the festival in Indiana, it's a group that runs it called Always One Ministries, and
Hmm.
basically it was you do anything to reach the one, and that's what their music was. Their festival's free; they don't charge anything. They have people that underwrite it all, and we wanted to do that, but do something different. Their show, what they do, they're the best at what they do. I mean, absolute stellar people when it comes to putting together a festival.
Hmm.
But theirs kind of ends at the festival. You know what I mean? There was no. We wanted something that would be that would have an impact all year long.
Hmm.
And so what we did is we decided, okay, we're gonna do this festival 2 days, and we're gonna charge for it. But nobody associated with Chains Unchained Ministries gets paid. We don't. No, nobody takes a nickel from this, except the only people we pay are our bands, our production team, and our merch vendors.
Okay.
Those are the only people, and we God has blessed us with merch vendors that we have merch deals that are um, unknown in this industry. I mean, we get super deals. We have people that just believe in what we do, and so we take every penny that's raised above and beyond, and we give that back into our community.
Mhm.
So uh, we've supported addiction houses, live in addiction house recovery houses, I should say,
Mhm.
uh, recovery houses, human trafficking groups here in Missouri. We have supported food pantries here in Missouri. One thing we do is we have no idea where our money is going to come from, but God always provides it. So if a need comes up, we just put it out on our page and we say, hey, this is what we're doing. And we have helped families pay that are on a hard time, pay for a month of rent, put groceries on there to, uh, buy new ACs for their house for elderly people.
Wow.
It's this is a ministry geared to giving back to this community in more than just music.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
my partner, his name's Dan Streety, and he grew up down in your area where you're at now.
Mhm.
We have very similar life stories, and he was a skinhead back in the day, and
Oh, really?
uh, yeah, now he's a vocalist for a band called Bread for War. Um, the dude is just he's a whole nother level when it comes to on fire for Jesus,
Yeah.
and and we he me and him together decided this was going to be something that honors God and gives back to the community that we came from.
Yeah.
We came from that homeless. We were both homeless at early age. I was homeless at 15. Um, it's just, and that's what we do. And we give away. There's no, uh, you don't have to come to church to get help from us.
Mhm. Mhm.
We find out somebody tells us about your issue and we'll contact you. We're not trying to get you into church. We're not trying to. Hopefully, Dan says that we music is our fishing pole.
Mhm.
We bait you with the bands,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then we give you Jesus.
Yeah.
We meet your physical, and then we introduce you to your spiritual.
Yeah. Yeah. Because music is always going to be the one thing that people are going to gravitate to
Yep.
in the
And
beginning.
it's amazing how many non-Christian metalheads will go to see a Christian metal band.
Yeah.
You know, it
Yeah.
used to be when I back in the day, man, Christian metal, all there was Striper was the only band I'd ever heard of, and
Yeah.
I wasn't into the hair bands. So to me, that was just I love Striper now. The guys are
Yeah.
great,
Yeah.
but back in the day, that was they were the tail end of a joke,
Yeah.
and I love them now, but that's just the way it was back in the day. So uh, there is I can't think of any secular bands now that are better talent wise, storytelling wise, anything
Yeah.
than some of these Christian bands that are out here now.
And see,
And the music has just grown.
yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, that's the thing too. I always say if you're a Christian, especially metal,
Yep.
you almost have to be you got to bring your A game because
Yes.
there's a lot of, the Testaments, the
Yes.
Megadeths and the Metallicas. In order to
Yep.
keep up with that and impress the non-believers, as you say, you have to
Yep.
pretty much bring your A game and
And
beat.
those guys are still bringing it.
Yeah,
Testament and all these guys, they are still
yeah,
bringing it
yeah,
today.
yeah.
Um,
I
yeah, it's
always say that because I totally believe that you got to bring your A game when you because people are gonna look down like Christian metal. What's that?
yep,
That sounds
yep.
like, you know.
I think I think Christian metal gained a lot of respect when some of the bigger bands started coming out as Christians. So when Dave Mustaine made a public profession that he was a believer and actually uh, live it, because I knew him when he was just he was not somebody you wanted to go out with because you knew if you went out that night you was getting in a fight with someone. That's just who he was. He
Yeah,
just He was a troublemaker, back when he was with Metallica and then after he got booted. Uh, but when he came out, and then when Head came out from Korn,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
and all these guys. Oh gosh, I can't even pick his name now. Um, Alice Cooper came out,
Yeah.
and all these people coming out, and I think it kind of lifted the game. It brought positive attention
Mhm.
from the secular metalheads, and then you had bands like For Today
Mhm.
that came up and just started crushing it on the secular metal concert scene.
Yeah.
Bold and Bible in hand on the middle of the stage. Uh, you know, 30,000 people and sitting there preaching the word.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Of course, we
and
all know about Disciple,
yes, I've worked
Chaotic.
with Disciple.
Yeah, there's a good band I interviewed last year, Chaotic Resemblance.
Yeah, there's some of them. I just went and saw them last weekend.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
Okay.
yeah, a friend of mine has a festival, and it was kind of birthed out of what we do. He
Yeah.
took it down to Arkansas, and they do Rockin' the River.
Okay.
And Chaotic was the headliners. I've known Chaotic. They've been, oh gosh, we've probably had them 5 or 6 times.
Yeah.
Uh, they are just some of the best dudes. Over and above, their music is stellar, but second to
Yeah.
none.
I know.
But as far as guys, man, just they are legit, believers.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. That's. I was gonna say, what do you think about your opinion when it comes to bands? Should they share a preach during their performances, or just wait, like you said earlier, ministry sometimes happens off the stage, behind the
yeah.
scenes. What's your take on bands that preach
If
doing
you're
a
so there's
repertoire?
to me there's different kinds of I hate to say there's different kinds of Christian bands. Okay, you got bands like Disciple and like Chaotic.
Mhm.
Uh, Used to be For Today before, but these guys you knew going in this is who they were, and they always say something. Doesn't matter where they're playing, whether it's at a church or a dive bar.
Mhm.
Uh, you're going to hear about Jesus. And you got other bands uh, that will mention Jesus,
Mhm.
and then ministry happens afterwards.
Mhm.
And then unfortunately, you got some that hide from the label. And I think to me, that's more a shame than any of it. I mean, I have, you can be believers in a band,
Mhm.
but if you call yourself a Christian band, then uh, there has to be a message.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and everybody says, well, the message is in the music, and that's all good and well if you know the music. But
Yeah.
if you just happen to be there, say you're there for the local band that's playing that night, you may never get to talk to them.
Mhm.
So just a simple word from the stage. Hey, man, we'd like to pray for you afterwards. If you got any issues, or you come talk to us at our table, we'd love to hang out with you, hear your story, tell you ours. It's something as simple as that. That puts a seed in.
Yeah.
Um, and then you got the other bands that you're going to. I know when I sign these bands to come for a show, I'm giving them an hour, but they're going to take 20 minutes of it, and they're going to do something. Uh,
Well, it's almost like a requirement in the sense that if you're gonna share the gospel.
yes, you have to, and a lot of bands will do it. I love bands that will give you a short intro on what the song is.
Mhm.
What the song means, what they were going through when they wrote that song. That is so powerful in connecting with an audience, especially an audience that doesn't know the peace and the comfort of Jesus. They know hard times,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and so when you can take that and say, I was going through a rough time here, and this is what came out of just pouring my heart out to God,
Yeah.
and people can see, it's legit. They're real. These people believe in what they're saying on the stage. Uh, there's a band called Convictions. If you haven't heard them, oh my gosh, they were just on tour with Demon Hunter
Oh,
and War of Ages
love
and
Deacon Hunter.
them and then Cultist, who I told you about. They're from down there in Southern California.
Yeah.
Uh, they just got off a tour, I think, this week. Tour
Okay.
just ended for them. Uh, Bold, and their songs hit you right in the face with everything that we deal with in this life.
Yeah.
Uh, just coming at it from a place of where God can use it.
See, that's
Uh,
been one of my biggest pet peeves about being here well, at least in this time of era in California. Nobody comes here. There's hardly any other than the Christian contemporary people,
yeah, yeah,
which is fine. But when you mention metal, there's hardly. I think Demon Hunter came last year. They played, but it was on a Monday night.
yes,
When I got saved in the late '90s, there used to be all kind of stuff going on here.
yeah.
Now
Well,
it's like nothing.
it's and I will say this also, especially in places like California, so Southern California or North, the Bay Area. There's so much competing
Mhm,
for attention that
mhm,
it makes it hard. Uh, there are a few places down there in LA. I had a friend of mine that we work with now with merchandising, who he did a festival down in Southern California, uh, and brought in some of the biggest names in Christian rock, and it uh, couldn't sell tickets. Uh, we couldn't, even though he had some of these incredible bands, and most of them were from that area,
yeah.
couldn't gain any footing, and he lost a lot of money on it. And it was the same year we started ours,
Mhm,
and and I thought, oh my gosh, he's in LA, he's going to crush this. He's got so many people, and
yeah.
we're here in the Midwest, and
Yeah.
I'm in a town of 150,000 people, and then you got to go 3 hours to get to the next biggest town.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and, um, and it was just kind of the opposite. Here they were starving for it, and no one was doing it. And I think that's the thing, is a lot of the independents have stopped doing it because there's no money in it.
Mm,
Uh, I'll tell you 100%. If this was a business, I wouldn't do it.
yeah. Yeah.
If it wasn't ministry, uh, I I would be promoting, just because of how hard it is to, with social media and everything. Who's going to spend $50 on a concert ticket when you could watch them live on, you can go to YouTube and watch all their live performances for free.
Or either listen to the album for free as well.
Yeah, and that, yeah, you could, yeah, there's 100 different ways now. It
Yeah.
used to be back in the day, if you wanted to hear a band, you had to go see the band.
You gotta go see him. Yep.
Yep, you bought their cassette, or you bought their album, or their, later on, their CD.
Yeah.
You had to have a physical connection to that band. You don't need that now.
Yeah.
You don't need a physical connection to them. There was a loyalty back in the day, because if you wanted to see them, you had to.
Mhm.
You had to follow what they were doing. Nowadays, we just get bombarded with it, and unfortunately, all the places that used to play it, they don't make money at it anymore.
Yeah. Well, at least where you are, and I can say Midwest, Southeast, and maybe even in the East Coast. You got Immortal Fest and
Yeah,
Ohio and Pastor Bob Beeman,
yep.
St.
Pastor
Mary.
Bob.
And I mean, I've just it's just been, I don't know even what the word. I've just been frustrated that
Now, there is, I don't
there's
know where it's located, but in your area, I think there's a place called the Glass House.
yeah, it's in Pomona. And I
Okay.
did see, well, we talking 20 plus years ago. I saw Project 86 and
Yep.
Living Sacrifice.
Yes. Um, and Living Sacrifice, they're in our area. They're here in
Yeah,
just down south in Arkansas. It's still going, though. The
yeah,
Glass House is still going, and
yeah, it's still going. I think it's just lack of promotion
yeah,
because
and
there's
well,
hardly any, unless you are on Facebook a lot, and I'm not
yep,
on it as much. There used to be, when there was, Christian bookstore, you can go to any Christian bookstore and see who's playing where and
yep,
the bands that are coming and listen to their new album if they got a new album coming out.
yep.
it's none of that now. I mean, yeah, we have, I think in Long Beach there's Angel City Cafe, but it's
Yeah,
like you said earlier, it's a cafe, it's a coffee house.
yeah, yeah.
It's not like, and I'm kind of like, I kind of got a big pet peeve with some of these churches that can bring in
Oh
Christian
well,
rock metal bands. They have the facility, they have the lighting, they have everything that you would need
yeah,
in a band. And I get it. Some people don't want to go to the club because it may bring back memories. They may stumble,
yeah.
and I get it, you know. But man, these churches are they can bring in, but like you said, nobody will come if you
It,
sell
it's
tickets.
yeah. Well, it's in a lot of churches. Unfortunately, Christian metal is like anathema. You don't want that. It's weird because so until about 2 years, 3 years ago, I was a pastor for 25 years here, uh, and the church that I was associate pastor at, we were very blessed that they let us do the music. Uh, they supported us in our ministry, and then some things happened, and we wound up leaving there, uh, and my prayer was God just open the right door because here we're in the buckle of the Bible Belt,
Yeah,
so God opened a door so that we could continue this ministry inside the church because that's always been our purpose. We are tied to the church with our ministry. You come to a show with us, that show is going to be at a church, and so right away, if God works in your heart, you're automatically going to know a place where they're going to accept you right where you are,
yeah,
uh,
yeah.
because they're supporting the ministry. And God opened the door. We went to one church that we visited. After we left the other church, we visited one church, and me and my wife were like, "Man, this is it. This is where we need to be." And so we went out to lunch with the pastor a couple weeks later, and told him, we tell him about what we were doing, and he said, "I can't believe churches aren't beating down your door to do this."
Yeah,
And I said, "Man, I wish everybody had that attitude.
yeah.
Uh, it'll change your area."
Especially
Uh,
the youth, especially music that they're into, you know.
yes.
But they're, they listen to the Testaments and the Metallicas, but
Yep.
got a band that sounds just like them.
Yep.
You know, it's just
But
it's
honors
not a
God,
mismatch.
and
Yeah,
yeah, it blows my mind. And um, so we've been blessed to be hooked up, and I guess maybe that's the thing is that we're intentional about finding that church, that one church. Uh, if he'd have said no, I don't know what we would have done
hmm
because I knew that's where God wanted us.
hmm
Me and my wife both, comfort beyond belief. And so I think God brought us there for a reason. Uh, but we put years into this,
yeah,
into building what we do have,
yeah,
and God has just opened doors. And I think we're in such a generation of instant gratification
hmm
that people are not really willing to put in the hard work, uh, and maybe fail and then keep working. Uh, because we've had plenty of things happen that could have shut our doors,
yeah.
but God's always been faithful. We start every year. We start every year in October with about, well, right now I think we got like $200 in our bank account.
Okay,
But we got a show in December with four bands. It's a toy drive. It doesn't cost anything to get in. And then there's a school here that's in one of the worst parts of town, and so we're going to sponsor 50 families for Christmas.
wow, awesome.
And so it's like, all right, God, we got $200. You better bring something in because
Yeah, yeah,
uh,
yeah.
it's going to cost $200 just to open a door without a band. And
Wow,
God's always taking care of it.
that's awesome,
Uh,
man. So
yeah.
where's Chains Unchained's future now? What do you see the vision for it?
Well,
What's
I
what's
mean,
God telling you?
we're in a really really good place for that, and what we're looking at doing is expanding the reach. Um, so we work on a fairly shoestring budget, and the last couple years, God's been stretching us a little bit, uh, bringing in a little bit bigger bands. I mean, we started out about 4 or 5 years ago. We brought in Disciple, and so that was our first band uh, that kind of made me sweat a little bit because of the commitment that you put on the line
Yeah.
for a little bit bigger band. It's a financial commitment,
Yeah.
uh, and then from there we've had since then we've had Impending Doom, we've had Wolves at the Gate,
Yeah.
and so God is stepping this up, and we've made an offer this year that scares the daylights out of me. Uh, for another band that I can't. I'll tell you later when we get off, but
Yeah. It's fine.
I can't mention it yet because it's still in the we're still
Yeah.
in the negotiation part.
I get
Um, but it we we want to be able to reach more people that are not in the church.
it.
So we're looking at bands that have a big draw in the secular realm. Also, I mean, I went and saw 3 weeks ago. I think it was the disciple. It was Demon Hunter, War of Ages, Convictions, and Cultists here in town, and it was at a bar, and
Yeah.
there was it was capacity, and their capacity's maybe 350, 400.
Yeah.
Uh, line going around the building, and our church in our sanctuary we can have 700 people.
Okay.
When we put in, so my vision is, well, if they can do that, I want to bring those same 350, probably 200 of them are not churchgoers, not believers,
Yeah.
but they're there because it was an amazing concert. I want to bring those 200 people into our show.
Yeah.
uh, we live, or our church is in a high addiction area,
Mhm.
and so what we do is we take half of our tickets and we go give them out in the neighborhood.
Mhm.
And hey, come on out. We'll feed you while you're here. We'll take care of you. We'll give you VIP treatment. And just come on out, and you'll get an amazing concert and really good food, if nothing else. And you're going to know where we are when you need something.
Wow. Yeah.
Uh, and so that's where I think God is leading us, is to expand what we're doing, continue what we're doing.
Mhm.
Uh, and then I would love to be able to have a place that we could do shows once a month,
Yeah. Yeah.
just to bring in a more steady, but then again, it's a financial commitment. We don't, uh, we got to raise this money for this concert. Then we got our festival in July. Our budget is probably going to be upwards of 15 grand this year.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
which is, to me, that's like, when you make that commitment, if you don't bring it in, we fundraise, and we are blessed with a lot of sponsors
Yeah.
that believe in what we do, and so we have people donate money, and every penny goes. We're a nonprofit, we're a legit nonprofit, and so uh, I told God, all right, we'll keep going bigger if that's what you want. More people, bring
Yeah.
in more people, and to have a bigger impact on the non-church community here.
Oh man, we need you here.
Well, I'll tell
I'm
you
gonna
this.
go. I'm gonna go on a record and say we need you out here in this area because it seems like everything past the Mississippi West, forget about it.
Well, here's one thing we do. See, we can't be everywhere, but we mentor groups. So, like, we were mentored by Always One Ministries, by Kingdom Come Festival. They were our mentors in how to do this, how to put on a successful show, not at the level they were at,
Mhm.
because I mean, I think they're on year 18 now, and we're on year 9.
Okay.
So, but they taught us what it was like in the beginning of their ministry,
Mhm.
and they gave us a lot of great encouragement and great advice on and connecting us with people. So what we do is we do the same. I told you about my friend down in Arkansas, Tony. He actually has it's called the GUR. It's a internet radio, and so he runs the internet radio station there. And then they do Rock in the River, which is a 2-day music festival. Last week we were just there, and I spoke on Friday night. I was their speaker, and Chaotic was their headliner.
Okay.
Uh, and so we sewed into his life, and now I think they just did year 5 or year 6, and they are set up. Their city has bought into what they're doing and has turned over their brand new amphitheater to
Wow.
them for free. For
Wow.
free for the next 5 years. They gave them a 5-year commitment, and it was this year was their first year there, and it was amazing.
Wow.
And so we mentor. There's a group in South Carolina that we're working with.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
if you got somebody in that area that's willing to put into work, have them call us, because we a guy in Washington that we're talking with who
mhm,
wants it's all about duplicating, duplicate what we're doing everywhere, or I should say duplicate what God's doing everywhere.
yeah,
Because if it wasn't for him, there's no way we would have year one we'd have given it in.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Uh, but if you find somebody that's serious about bringing it in,
yeah,
and we'll work with them all we can.
yeah,
We'll
for
give them
sure.
everything that God's taught us in the last 10 years, uh, to make it successful. And And that's what we did here. I mean, we were sitting here. I was sitting on the couch one day talking to my friend Dan, my partner,
Mhm.
about the book. And how can we get this book out more? What could we? And he's like, "Well, let's do a festival." And I'm like, "You're stupid. You're an idiot. That's too much work." And he put me in my place. He said, "So you're not really serious about it?" And I was like, "Oh man, here we go. All right, go ahead. Let's do a festival."
He who barks the loudest should be the first one.
Yes, 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 that was it. That was it. I'm like, all right, so lesson learned: never open my mouth in front of Dan. But that's just how he is. He's like, all right, fine, let's do it.
Yeah, yeah,
And and we got recognition just because his band was pretty big regionally here,
yeah,
and because he's toured with a lot of different people. We had bands that we had a built-in group of bands that we could get out here.
yeah, yeah.
And we started. I say we started small, but our first year we had Decipher Down
Okay.
was our headliner on Friday, and then a band called To Speak of Wolves, which for a while there they were blowing up, and we got them right in the middle of that blow up period,
Yeah.
and we just haven't looked back.
Wow.
God just keeps opening them doors.
Yeah, man. Send me the link to where people can get your book.
Yes.
I'll put Chains Unchained the website in the description area, and
Yep.
people can check out and your
Yeah, you can hit us up. We're on Facebook, Instagram. We even got a TikTok.
oh,
One of our girls that is huge supporter of us.
yeah,
She reps us on TikTok, and
okay,
uh, yes, I mean, I'm like, I have no idea what any of these things do, but
yeah,
uh, I just post to Facebook, and
yeah.
Instagram steals it. So I'm like, all right, that's easy enough. So, but you can find us. We got a website, chainsunchained.com. Uh, yeah, we try to get our face out there.
In closing, I always say, we live in a chaotic world, as you can see.
Yeah, yes,
Well, what's your encouragement to the believer that is struggling and is trying to find hope? And then two-part question, what do you say to that non-believer that doesn't know
sure,
Christ and how, as you put it earlier, the ministry and how you even got saved? You know,
sure.
what do you
Well, I think to a believer, I would say, don't quit. It sounds really cliche, but tie that knot in the rope and hang on. And don't just hang on. I think a lot of believers they get sedentary, and so when things hit them in the face, they shrink back. And I don't see anybody that shrunk back in the Bible that God used. Um, he had to take them almost to the woodshed, and for me that would be getting in your Bible. Don't quit just because things get hard. Don't quit talking to God. Don't pull back. When things are harder, that's when we got to buckle down. Um, the Bible is there. Every answer I've ever needed was in the Bible, even when I was too stubborn to go to it. Uh, I'm very blessed in the fact that I have men that hold me accountable. I have a wife that holds me accountable. And so when I start getting down, those are the questions they ask me. Are you reading your Bible? No. We've been talking to God, yeah, but not the way I should.
Mhm.
I've been blaming him a lot. Um, getting but for a believer, man, this world right now, it's like you said, it's messed up. It's chaotic. It'll eat you alive if you let it. It'll tear you down, and they don't want to hear nothing. Uh, that's when it's time for us to get real about what we believe. I always tell people, I want to fight for my walk with Jesus harder than I ever fought for my next fix. And there was things I would do that were downright evil for a drug. If I can't put that much effort into um, my walk with God, then I have to ask myself why I'm doing it. So hang on, tithe and die. Uh, if you don't go to church, jump into a church. I don't care if they like you. I don't care if they don't like you. I don't care if they don't like your music. But we always tell people here that that's not why you're there. You're not there to have them accept you. You are there because God wants you in a body of believers. And I promise you, if you show yourself faithful, they will show themselves faithful. Uh, if you don't find the first one, fine. Give it a couple months. If it ain't working out, find another one. Somewhere, God's promised us that we are part of a family, and somewhere you got brothers and sisters. But even if they don't like your music, they will support you uh, as a brother and a sister.
Mhm.
I think too many times we think we have to have it our way, and you don't go in there and change the church. Go in there and ask God what you could do for that church, how you can serve, and you'll be amazed at what. Yeah, there's so many people that I never ever thought would have bought into our ministry that are now some of our biggest supporters. My mom hates my music, can't stand it. But until the day she died, she worked the front door
Oh,
of every one of my festivals, and I'd ask her, "Why are you doing this?"
yeah,
She's like, "Because God wants you to do this, and if He wants you to do it, then I got to help you."
yeah.
But it took me showing myself faithful, and that's what we need to do as the church, as the believers. For an unbeliever, I'd say, "Why? You've tried all this stuff. Where are you at?"
Mhm.
You know, I threw $160 worth of dope into my body every single day for 16 years, and that's on top of everything else that I've found.
Mhm.
If you could take it, I took it, and I will tell you, it didn't work. I was miserable. I did horrible things for what I was doing. Um, it got to the point where I had to leave the state to get away from it. And when I got away from it, I didn't get away from it. I just moved to another state. Um, you've tried it all. What? Why? And yet you won't even look at God. It's a pride thing. And um, when we're in our pride thing, you know, you're not going to find anything because it's about yourself. Why wouldn't you at least give it a chance? Give it a listen. You know what? Don't go to church with me. Come hang out with me. Let's go get coffee.
Mhm.
I don't want to tell you about Jesus. I want to know you.
Yeah.
And that's what I would tell a believer or a non-believer is that God just wants you to know him. You don't have to be you don't have to clean up a single thing. Come to church. If you're hungover, come to church. If you smell like pot, come to church. If you just got fixed, come to church. Um, I'm not trying to change you. I just want to introduce you to a God that, if you allow him to, will change you.
Mhm.
He ain't gonna mess with you. He ain't gonna knock you down to pick you up. Uh, but if you give him the opportunity, he will change you.
Mhm.
Uh, this world will beat us up. And it's hard enough. It's hard enough as a believer. I couldn't imagine going through life
Yeah.
now in today's day without Jesus.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's the thing too. I mean, people think, oh, you Christians, you guys, what's the phrase? You so heavenly minded,
yeah,
earthly
no
good.
earthly good.
Like, well, our issues are no different than normal.
No,
It's just that
no,
we
and
know who's gonna help us and deliver us from anything that we're struggling with, who's gonna be by our side more than an alcohol bottle, more than
yep.
a drug. You know,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. It's awesome. Um, my son come home one day and he said, "Oh man," he said, "the police were behind me and they drove and they were following me and blah." And my son's got long hair and he listens to loud music but he's a Christian. He listens to Christian music. He was a drummer in a pretty decent Christian band when he was in high school um, and he said, and I said, "Why do you care? Why do you care?" See, that's the difference between me now and me then. Is me now, the police get behind me, I don't care.
yeah, yeah,
I don't worry about it. See, the things I used to worry about, I don't. It doesn't mean I don't have problems, but
mhm,
I know the end of the book. Uh, I'm in the middle of all this ministry that we've been talking about. I spent over a 2 year period. I spent 29 times in the mental hospital.
mhm,
This is as a pastor,
mhm,
because I'd never learned to deal with the anger that I had,
mhm.
and it got me in a lot of problems, and almost lost my family over it. And so the problems don't go away, but I know where the answer is.
Mhm.
I can go to the Bible and I can go to God and I can talk to Him and I have answers. And the answer, like you said, it's not in a bottle.
No,
It's not in a Ziploc baggie.
yeah,
It's not in a little brown vial. It's in a book, and
yeah.
it's in a man.
And
Uh,
that's why I always say people can argue with the Bible and so forth. I mean, we know it is the true word of God, but they can't
yeah,
argue with your own personal testimony.
yeah, no, and
That's
that's where.
something that God did.
Yeah, I talk to my friends. I mean, I still have contact with a few of my friends from back in the day, and yeah, they're believers now in what I say.
Mhm,
There are actually a few of them that are believers now. Uh, the ones that aren't, though, will never ever tell you that Wayne isn't serious about what he believes in. Wayne
mhm,
doesn't believe what Wayne believes. Uh, and I ask him, I'm like, dude, you're still where you are. You got more money now, but you're still stuck in that 1985 mentality.
mhm.
And God has so much more for you. And I'm thankful that God preserved my mind more than anything, because I got friends you can't talk to.
Yeah,
The drugs burned them up. But God preserved my mind, and He gave me a love for those people.
yeah,
So if you're having problems and you're a believer, dive back into your first love, full force. Jump in like you're in a mosh pit. Just slam into God, and then if you're not a believer, what's holding you back? How's your life been going?
yeah, yeah,
Has it been working for you? Well, if not, then it's time to try something new.
yeah.
It's time to at least give something a thought. And that's all I would beg them.
Well, especially with everything happening, the last
Yes,
months with Charlie Kirk and
yes,
I personally think we as believers just need to be bold now more
yes.
than ever. I mean,
You, and we spent the church here. My thing of the church spent 40 years, starting in about 1950, 1960. The church started, instead of building bridges, they built walls.
mhm,
They didn't want to. Got to keep the world out. Got to be separated. Got to come out from the world. And the whole time, God's saying that's not right. And now here we are, 50 years later, and we're blaming the world for a problem we caused.
mhm,
We pulled out of the world. So what's going to happen? Well, you're going to have government programs going to come in. You're going to have all this stuff that our world deals with now. To me, is a direct result. And so, how do you change that? You tear down the walls. You build that bridge again, even if it's only to one person.
mhm.
Reconnect that bridge to one person, and that's what we want to do. We want to build one bridge at a time into our community and show them that there is another way. There's uh, a Lord that wants to be closer than a brother. There's a spirit that wants to indwell you, and there's a God that wants to spend eternity with you.
Mhm.
And the only thing that'll satisfy that for a human is the Spirit of God. Stick whatever you want in that hole, and it's still going to be a hole.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, Wayne, we could talk for hours, man.
Yeah, I love, man. I could talk about this for forever. Uh,
You're on fire, man. I tell you. Well, man,
well,
it's really been great to talk with you here on Heaven's Metal, and send me all your book info. I can put all your stuff in the link in the description area, and let people check out your book where they can get your book and so forth.
yep.
Send all that, and you can email it to me or you can text it to me, however you want to do it.
All right.
Put that in the description, man. And yeah, thanks for coming on Heaven's Metal, man.
Uh, Man, Corin, it's been a pleasure, bro. I would, uh, you're a good dude. I appreciate you having me on and let me talk. And
Hey,
anytime, man, we need to stick in touch.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, we'll talk after this though, but
All right.
sure, man. But
All
yeah,
right.
thanks for coming on, bro.
Thank you, Corin. I appreciate you, brother.
We'll
God
talk
bless
to
you.
you soon.
Yep.